Well, I think it's about those two guys specifically almost more so than the rest of the team and organization cumulatively. And I want to start with a man near and dear to your heart and a guy that I know you were rooting for in Andy. Because I think it should be noted, not Super Bowl level success, but the Chiefs were having sustained success, the best prolonged tenure of sustained success in their franchise's history before Patrick Mahomes ever took a snap. In the 5 years before Mahomes took over as a starter, they went to the playoffs 4 times. They won 9 games or more every single year. And in Andy's 7 years there, they have 77 wins. They have 1 year they didn't win double-digit games, and it was the 9-win season. 1 year they didn't make the playoffs. So, I mean, this has been a 12-win team 3 of the last 4 years. Only 2 of the last 4 has Patrick Mahomes been the quarterback there. So when we talk about the secret to New England, the first step is hire Bill Belichick. Second step is draft Tom Brady. The third step is make sure you did steps 1 and 2 and work backwards from there. The Chiefs have that. The Chiefs have, I think, the second best coach of his generation from the 2000s to now in Andy Reid, and the most talented quarterback I think any of us have ever seen. So to have sustained success, keep Andy Reid out of retirement, and keep Patrick Mahomes healthy, if you do that, you start the season, and I know Coach hates to hear this, you start the season at 10 wins. And the question is, can you get to 11, 12, 13 wins? But with that coach-quarterback combination, you should always be in the playoffs. You should always be in contention, and then see if you can go on a run similar to one the Chiefs just went on.
Anytime you have Andy Reid, who is a great scheme guy, a guy that's going to game plan very well, he's going to be detail-oriented, he's going to be prepared, and you have a quarterback that can execute, I think you're certainly going to be in discussion. That's what you just mentioned. Here's a couple of things that happened throughout the season that I think impacted them tremendously as far as in the playoffs in the Super Bowl. First of all, Patrick Mahomes got hurt, but he got hurt in the middle of the season. Because they were able to put that kneecap back in, he wasn't out very long. That helped that football team an awful lot. And when you talk about the injury bug, you also got to look at Chris Jones. He came back and was probably the most effective guy on that defense, and he came back at the exact right time. He was able to affect the divisional round. He was able to affect the AFC Championship game as well as the Super Bowl. His just presence in the interior of that defensive line was great. The other thing, and you mentioned it, they have a weak division. I mean, that's just what it is. They have a weak division. They have a bunch of teams that don't have great quarterbacking, that don't have great teams, prolonged success. I think that's important. That was important to the Patriots' success. And the other thing, the last 2 things actually, if they want to continue the success of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, speed has to remain speed. And what that means is that the fast guys have to remain fast guys, because when Tyreek Hill slows down just a couple steps, he's just a small guy that's not as fast. That blazing speed changes the game. Sammy Watkins, blazing speed, changes the game. And if they don't have that, it's a different type of team, different type of quarterback system there. And the last thing, and I think, Coach, you probably know this better than anyone else, they have to draft well. If they can draft well continuously, especially after they pay Patrick Mahomes, they have a chance of winning in the future. But if they don't draft well, there's been many teams that have great quarterbacks, but as soon as you pay your quarterback, you have to draft so well, because now you got to get your young players to play well. If they don't do that, then they don't have the chance to have that sustained success that everyone is looking forward to.
It's sustained success that everybody is just assuming is going to happen. And look at the situation in New Orleans. You have a really good quarterback, you have a really good head coach, and there were down years. There were up years where they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, and then they won 1 Super Bowl, and that's been a great combination for a long time. You look at Aaron Rodgers, he's on a new head coach. He's an outstanding quarterback, he had an outstanding head coach. You look at Peyton Manning for some of his years where he had down years or didn't achieve at the highest level, didn't win the Super Bowl. And there's this assumption that just because you show up, things are going to work out. That's not how it works. And you know, as well as anybody, every single year you get faced with this new set of challenges. And there's the guys that have experienced the adversity and the success and know how to work and know how to do things. And then there's new guys that come into the culture, and either they fit or they don't fit, and you hit different levels of adversity. And so to just be able to project out because of Patrick and Andy, yeah, should you have a great starting point? You should. How is Patrick going to respond to the money? How is he going to respond to the success? How are the other guys going to respond to that? You think everybody in that locker room is going to be content with their current contract after winning a Super Bowl? people want a taste of that success. They want a taste of those riches that come with that success. And there's a lot of selfishness that creeps in where to truly be successful on a sustained level, you need to be selfless. And this is inherently opposed to that because of everything that comes with winning the Super Bowl.
Well, I want to talk about those three quarterbacks you mentioned because I think they're all in unique circumstances. There's Breeze, the only of the three who during his prime went through a period in the wilderness out of the playoffs repeatedly. Three times 7 and 9 with Drew Brees in his prime.
Because you have to play defense and special teams
Exactly
too. Like,
right.
that's part of this game.
100%. That's the point I was going to make is those Saints defenses, that was to me an organizational failure to not put any resources seemingly, or at least competent resources, into the defense to where Breeze could have these 5,000-yard seasons and the team finished below 500. Rodgers a slightly different circumstance. Rodgers made the playoffs every single healthy year of his career prior to last season, which ended with the coach being fired. They just had some heartbreaking playoff defeats. I think Manning...
But there was frustration there, too,
yes,
defensively and with free agency and with a lot of things organizationally.
Right, and that they didn't get over the hump, that they had, it was particularly that 2014 NFC Championship game when they should have made it to their second Super Bowl. And then the last one you mentioned is Peyton. I don't think Peyton had any lean years. There was the 1 year playoffs, Jim Mora.
I mean, did he underachieve or overachieve?
Well, so that's what I was going to get to, was Peyton throughout the regular season of his career, starting year 4, he's in the playoffs with the Colts every single year until he has the neck surgery. But what is a fair critique of Peyton Manning, and we now have his entire history to look at, is his play markedly decreased, his play in the postseason. And that was a Peyton Manning-centric team. One of the reasons I think
decreased against certain teams.
Well, okay, well, you guys in particular, but it wasn't just against the Patriots.
No.
He particularly struggled against you guys and what you guys were doing. But even in games not against the Patriots, you can look at it, and his passer rating dropped 30 points for his career in the regular season and the postseason. One of the reasons, Jenna, to be optimistic about the Chiefs is Mahomes' numbers have gone up across the board, limited sample, but in his 5 career playoff games, I don't think there's reason to believe he's the type of player who gets worse in the postseason.
You look at that Super Bowl and you're thinking that was an unbelievable
No, I think that was his...
If anything, you should be concerned and disappointed based off of the first three and a half quarters.
Coach, what I think
you have to also look at the games, too. I mean, the first game of the playoffs, they were down 24 points. Patrick Mahomes in that offense wasn't moving the ball consistently up and down the field.
Okay, listen.
I love the fact that he brought him back, but I think it's a problematic of where they put themselves in all three of their
Here's what I know. He's played 5 career playoff games. The Super Bowl absolutely was his worst game. And he won Super Bowl MVP because of it. He threw for 285 yards, 2 touchdowns, and scored 21 points in the final 6 minutes. Like, that's his worst of his 5 career playoff games.
The bottom line. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.